Peace and good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Foul Playland. As always, I am Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn on my new channel or my new venture, which I call Behold. Um, Want to chop it up regarding some of the topics of the day. Um, in terms of world news, my favorite subject, race issues. What else? Uh, Domestic news, politics. At all. Also, too, I mean, this is an open panel. I'm actually gonna put the jump off. What do you call it? The the channel invite on the screen. Damn, how did I do this again? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so in terms, I do want to say certain stuff before. I mean, a lot of the people that do listen to me, um, or the people that that don't agree with you, like they get into a tendency of trying to overtalk a brother, but we can handle all that. But I do at some like many times like to say um my stance or my opinion on what these things are or what they may be, and then you know without being overtalked. My fellow so-called minorities have a tough time at having regular discourse. Like they get all emotional and try to overtalk a brother. But um and I'm more than willing to have anybody come through on my stream. You could be a bigot, don't care. You could be a pro your race, don't care. Um the one thing that I don't allow is the people who prefer the company of children. I mean, not that they would be front and center, but that's the only opinion that I would censor. One second, I'm getting a cup of coffee, people. Sorry about that. But again, trying to think how to highlight yeah, there we go. How to highlight the invite. Again, anyone is welcome to join my stream. Um my one caveat is that everybody should get a chance to talk. Like don't get impatient. Um no what do they call that? Doing these run on like long like nonsense points about surface level like issues. I try to get more I try to talk in a more analytical way. Like, I don't want to hear like your feelings about certain things, like, or give like, ad hominem attacks, like because politics gets you in your feelings. But and like I said, anybody's like don't just and for the sake of people that may listen to this after the fact, I don't want like, a bunch of people talking over each other. And again, I mean, like I'm very uh familiar with how so-called minorities are on these panels or on these streams. I listen to most of the content I listen to is other so-called minorities like myself. Having said that, a lot of times like they lack or we lack the proper etiquette. Not me. I have great etiquette, you know. It's just but when they get emotional, like, they want to be cursing and, not letting somebody talk, like, and I get that in a lot of panels that I visit. One of the panels that I was visiting a lot up until recent. I mean, the dude's like super scary to have me come through, my brother, the boxing scholar. But he has this ugly bitch that's on there, who anytime I say anything, she's like, "Oh, I'm just not gonna let you talk." And I don't know what she looks like, but I'm pretty sure her looks are whack as shit. Like, I mean, she sounds ugly. She sounds fat. I don't know if she's a content creator on her own merit, but my brother, the boxing scholar, generally is a Democrat defender. And a lot of times with people that defend Democrats or people that defend liberal principles in today's time, they don't mind seeing people get censored. They don't mind censoring. I mean, and censoring can come in many ways, but by having improper etiquette and just talking over a mother MFer, that's a form of censorship in itself. And a lot of times, if I am talking anything to do with politics, you'll get a lot of that on most of these panels. But in terms of news of the day, like, I mean, I haven't really been in tune because I've been running around, but I know that the Lindsey Graham funeral service was today. Um, I know that Bibi Netanyahu and Zelensky, Old Sniffy, were going to be in attendance. It's coming at a weird time. I mean, like, Old Sniffy Zelensky is usually sort of on hot and cold relationship with Trump. Is mostly cold. I mean, if you guys don't remember, Trump put him out on Front Street when he had him over in the White House in front of the American press. I mean, the world press. But the Ukrainians right now, again, if you don't know, like, the Ukrainians are being supplied by America, and that's not because America is giving them weapons, which is what we're supplying them with theoretically, but Europe is buying weapons from America, and those American weapons are then distributed from Europe to the Ukraine, and it begins and ends with there, but at any point, Trump's not predictable, and I sort of like that unpredictability um when it comes to negotiating power for America. Like, don't think that it or sometimes it could be used as a bludgeoning tool where people don't know where you're coming from. But you also have BB in attendance. Again, I don't know what went down at the funeral service. I know Trump spoke at the funeral service. I try to listen to a lot of, like, the speeches that Trump makes, in addition to a lot of other politicians, hearings and whatnot. But today I just didn't have the chance. And if I know, like, if they're gonna be like repeating themselves with the same stuff, like, I usually try not to check it out. Most of the stuff I listen to from Trump, believe it or not, are like when he has like interactions with the press, like where they could ask him whatever. Because I like to see what the press is gonna ask him. Like, what they're not gonna ask him is also important to me too. And I like the fact that it's not like rehearsed, like that it's just coming off the cuff. And Trump be saying some wild stuff too, which I like. In many instances I like. um so yeah, I mean if something of import happened, I'll probably read up on it on Twitter. But I mean, I don't know anything else that's coming from this. In terms of the Iran war, there was actually an Axios article that came out regarding the situation in Iran, and that the reports were saying that they're being hit with economic sanctions is affecting the situation in Iran far more negatively than them actually being struck by missiles. Um, I'm not sure how these things work in terms of, like, what kind of money Iran was bringing in before and or now that we're in a state of combat against Iran. But it seems like we, the United States or America, has some sort of control as to the money flow that happens into Iran. And right now, it seems that, according to the article, that Scott Bessent came up with a plan in which it would inhibit the money flow that was going into Iran. And again, according to this article, which Axios, if you guys don't know, is a very liberal publication. Um, I mean, it's less. It's more at times like they have like better news than, let's say, like MSNBC or CNN. Like it's way less biased, but it still is very biased. But they definitely are not in the doing Trump a favor kind of publication regularly. And it, again, a lot of they don't come out with many stories, but a lot of the stories that they do come out with tend to be like looked at as like, more along the lines of being the truth, whether you're Republican or Democrat, or at least having a semblance of the truth. So again, like according to these reports, I mean, like that the Iranian leadership has been reaching out to the current Trump administration because of the negative effects of their finances being thwarted. They're now having problems as far as paying like personnel, mainly military in Iran, and they also are having issues in terms of oil shortages. And I'm paraphrasing what the article said, and they actually said that oil-rich nation like Iran is having, long gas lines and oil shortages. How that works out, I don't know. Anybody who tells you that they know about the Iranian situation like 100% is bullshitting to you. I mean, Iran is a highly censored population, and the news stories that do come out of there um, are few and far between. Like, I mean, much of what's happening in this war, um, we end up finding out way after the fact, and frankly, I mean, everything that's happened in this Iranian United States conflict has been, since the starting point, very vague. You're not seeing like tons of news stories. I mean, you may hear a story like when the school full of girls was struck by a bomb, unfortunately, in Iran. You were hearing a lot of reports of that. Um, I did see the headline of one of the other content creators that I watch, who's also on Bird Time recent when it comes to defending Democrats. My brother Reggie Owens. Um, his headline was something to the effect of a civilian airplane being struck by the United States. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I mean, I was running around a lot yesterday too. Um, and again, that's unfortunate, but the fog of war in terms of like what's coming out from this conflict between Iran and the US has been very thick, and we don't really have a succinct view of what's going down in this conflict. Um, so, I mean, I guess once this war wraps up, like if it wraps up soon, then we'll know, the gritty details, like, posthumously or whatever you say, however you say that, or after the fact. Um, but anybody who's telling you, or reporting upon this war like in a ultra negative fashion, I mean, like I look at things from a more 40,000 foot perspective. I know what other recent conflicts have caused in terms of the most important thing, U.S. soldiers. And although like the number of soldiers, which I believe is between 16 and 18, it's one of the two, that have passed away in the process of this war. I mean, much honor and respect to those troops that have passed away and given the ultimate contribution, whether this war is merited or not. Um, in comparisons to other wars, that's, frankly, not that much. I mean, the Afghanistan withdrawal um, led to the ending of the lives of 13 troops in the matter of like one day, and that was looked at like as one of the worst international moments in the history of this country. Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal, and again, 13 troops lost their lives because of Biden's stupidity. Let me take a sip of coffee. Damn, that AC looks ghetto, man. I hate the look of ACs like in front-facing windows. That's not a front-facing window, of course not. That goes to my alley. But I just hate the look of air conditioned units in general. But again, um, the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm showing my face now temporarily because unless I'm like stuck within a riveted debate and I have to be sitting in front of this laptop, I'm gonna be folding laundry pretty soon. While I also stream, should nobody pull up. And again, I have a lot of people that, I mean, YouTube doesn't help my algorithm one iota. But I know a lot of the people that who I've been talking about recently in terms of the content creators that I at times describe in the process of these live streams. Here and there, they'll peek into my channel like and listen. But a lot of them, when it comes to politics or talking politics, are extremely bitch made. When it comes to coming against me and like speaking their nonsense talking points. And I again, like I try to look at things from a analytical perspective. With everything I do, I have nothing but time to think about these things, and I like to think about things and not get too wrapped up in the emotional aspect of it. Again, a big problem that so-called minorities have is that they speak on these things emotionally, and a lot of times, unfortunately, my fellow so-called minorities are wrapped in the emotion of I hate Trump, I hate Trump, I hate Trump at a constant. So you know, they can't make the forest for the trees when they're thinking so emotionally. And again, hate is an emotion, and hating on one politician is highly emotional. Um, yeah, but Iran war, like I'm not happy about the war happening. Of course not. Um, I'm definitely not happy about the raise in the prices of gas, from the beginning of Trump's administration until now, although it's still less than the average gas prices that you saw in the Biden administration, in addition to the fact that it was less than the all-time high, record high that Biden um, gave the United States, which was on average 506 per gallon of gas. Um, but you know, ultimately, like the worst that could come as far as from a PR perspective, if I was somebody who was working, like, say, for the Trump administration in terms of like what his perception is like to the American people mostly. Right now, I mean, this war, um, it's not costing that many American lives. It eliminated the hierarchy of the IRGC, the people that run Iran, who, as a public policy, operated under, we hate America, dead to America. They all got eliminated for by and large. Um, right now, we're flying helicopters, BS, like little low flying planes through Iran's airspace. They can't do squat about it. Right now, I mean, even though these things are probably not reported or not reported, honestly, but the kind of planes that we're flying in Iran currently are probably there for the purpose of shooting down drones. Iran's best or only weapon against us and the rest of the world that they're beefing against is basically to strike cargo ships with drones. They're not sending no navy after these cargo ships, no Iranian navy. Iran Iran, according to Trump, has no navy, and I believe that claim. They're not sending jets and planes after ships in the or cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, according to Trump's claim, Iran has no air force, and I believe that to be true. Iran right now, their only weapon in the process of this war is to launch strikes against cargo ships. Most of that oil, again, according to the current administration, is not even coming in the direction of the United States. Again, but and I could also, walk and chew bubblegum simultaneously and know that yes, the price of oil as it currently stands is at a constant, facing fluctuations based on a global market. But the my 40,000 analytical, my 40,000 foot view analytical perspective is that the way that markets operate, you know, throughout the world and even here in the United States, markets that we're participating in, at this current juncture, even are not going to be the same, probably a year or two from now. At the end of the Trump administration, I think Trump is willing his way into changing a lot of these things that happen around the world. For instance, I think that Trump, and I've said this many times on this channel, that Trump's principal interest is to have control of the Western Hemisphere, which would be from the southern part of South America, which is Chile, all the way to the northern part of the Americas, which technically is Canada, but I also think that him saying that he wants Greenland is not him talking shit. I definitely think that Trump wants control of Greenland, and I agree with that principle. I also agree that we should control the destiny of Canada. Canada is a globalist state. I also look at these things as which aren't presented out in the media, but it's basically sovereignty, which Trump is pumping sovereignty, especially when it comes to sovereignty for the United States, versus globalism, which a lot of the powers that be in the world are pushing for globalism right now. I mean, and a lot of people, especially so-called minorities, again, me being a so-called minority, we're again very emotional when it comes to trying to observe these things. We don't even know, I mean, unless it's like presented to us where people are actually wearing uniforms, we can't tell who's who in the zoo. And a lot of times, for instance, I mean, like you look at these BLM chicks, like they all have like braids, you know um and they're all, black queens. But meanwhile, they're all, for the most part, lesbians that are married to like Jewish women who are at a constantly, leeching from a not only black people or so-called black people's emotions, um, but also taking checks from anybody who will give it. But I think a lot of times, being that they come in the proper uniform, people think that automatically, well, like they're looking out for other so-called minorities because they look very much like a so-called minority and then some. They have braids, that sister's looking out for me. Or another uniform is a that a lot of people will dick hop a lot of times is the uniform of somebody who presents themselves as being anti-white. So anybody who comes with any sort of international flair, like Mamdami, a lot of, unfortunately, my fellow so-called minorities will rock hop somebody like that, just because, like, they say one or two quotes that are anti-Trump, and because they're not like a white person, like in the case of Mamdami, he's a African Arab dude, or that came from God knows where. Um, but a lot of people think that just because he's having a few Slay Queen moments and he has the right skin color, um, that he's looking out for your best interest. But having said all that, again, like a lot of the people that I do operate under the realization that most of the people that I talk to are so-called minorities. Um, and honestly, like it's not like white people for the most part are much better in understanding these things. You have a lot of morons throughout the globe. You have a lot of morons in this country. They don't get who's who in the zoo again. But right now, I think the great battle that's happening behind the scenes and out in the open to a degree is the battle between the globalist and the battle of the people who want sovereignty. And it's not as if there are many countries in the world that want sovereignty. In fact, I think the United States, with Trump at the helm, is one that's pushing the largest push towards that very goal of sovereignty. But right now in Latin America, for instance, there was a lot of outside influences, like whether that be China, Europe, and in their recent elections, most of the people that are getting elected in Latin America have been, MAGAs of South America. Like for like Brazil's probably going to flip the script pretty soon, but most of the countries in South America, whether that be Colombia, Salvador, are all turning red in essence, and red in the sense of, very pro taking control of their own destiny rather than being subverted by the globalist. I mean, like, and right now, I mean, like, again, I look at these things in a very analytical way with the time to think about them, with what I consider deep thought. The globalist weapon of choice at this current juncture, as far as the faction that they're pushing, which is not too far from globalism anyway, is the communist or communism. And it's never in my life did I see, the advent or the rise of communism as I have been seeing now in 2026. And again, like that was always looked at as a boogeyman word. I was always looked at as like, the communists are not really, a functioning political group. Communism has never had the chance to flourish, supposedly, when you hear liberals talk about communism. But it was always looked at as like a icky word. Like, you would never think that like Democrats, for instance, for the sake of their political motives, at least prior to 2026, Democrats would have not embraced communism, where now, it's almost as if they're forced to come out in the open and embrace the communist candidates that have been propelled forward, like C. Brian Plattner, Zoran Mandami, this other twat that won an election in New York, I think for then she replaced Esplanade. Um, but these people are now having to, in a sense, almost choose a side, but you don't even need to choose a side. The fact that, communism is out in the open right now in America, and it's not something that's, at least in terms of Democrats, is being like reviled. I think that's like a positive thing for people to see what's what. I rather people see what's what than like for them to deal from a perspective of having to navigate the fog, or you know be give up when things look obfuscated and not so clear. But right now, I mean, like, the two contending parties are basically Trump and his sovereignty movement, which again, like largely is for America to remain American and for America to be enjoyed by Americans, for America to be the center of the world, which it always is. But we don't want to the past, the communists, the globalists, the Democrats, they look at it as America is, you know, the top dog right now, and that we should be knocked down a peg, and that we should be accepting people from all sorts of countries because racisms of the past, and that we should feel guilty for our success, and um, that's BS. Like that's BS for people like me who don't have a ton of money, and or people like me who come from the ghetto and um, try to work hard to retain anything they do have, or like try to work hard to get things that we want. Whereas the globalist, it's basically like everybody, we want to make everybody poor and everybody's on the same footing, like. And right now, I mean, a lot of young people adopt the globalist or communist way of thinking. Like a lot of young people think, like, well, I'm already poor as is. Peace, Mark Nash. How you doing, brother? Again, my open panel link is in one of my comments. Let me see if I show it again. There it goes. But a lot of people are broke as is right now. So when they have a choice of, I'm broke anyway, so like why not bring this whole system down? I mean, a lot of people will sort of choose that from ignorance, one, but also from the perspective of many people economically are hurting, so they think that it could only get better. But trust, I mean, like when you talk about what these um, communist or radical liberals and want and globalists want for America, I mean, again, America is the nation that has the most bounty, and they want us to be in the same footing as our or other countries that are, in many cases, third world. Or, I mean, like, and the fastest way of them doing that is by importing the third world into America. And God forbid you have an opinion of not wanting to see a third world incursion in, the country of my birth, which is America, then your racisms. And, but again, like this battle is being played out in the open in many cases. I mean, globalists, I mean, they're gun ho on terms of taking over elections. I mean, like in terms of changing the way that politics is played normally. Globalists, communists, Democrats, in many ways, like they just are looking for power. They just want to win. To hell, what rules they break in the process. Pardon me. And the Trump administration wants to make it to where I'm pretty sure at the end of this conflict in Iran, that our dealings with other countries throughout the world is going to be extremely limited. Um, Again, at the conclusion of this Iranian conflict, which I mean, I'm not going to lie and tell you or predict that it's going to be done in a week or two. It could be done in a week or two, but it could be done in a year. Do I think it's even going to go on a year? I don't really think so. I mean, not only in terms of like where they want to get this thing wrapped up before the midterms, and July is, if you guys don't really track politics, which a lot of you guys don't really track politics, most people that commentate on politics track emotion, unfortunately. But the real campaigning season for November elections, which America has November elections, the real campaigning season starts like in July. Like so right now we're in the middle of real campaigning season. Like where I'm like they figure that you're gonna remember um stuff that happened from July till November, like when you finally do face that vote. Shit that happened, in March, I mean, it's not really part of like the campaigning season. Let's see. Fuck Trump. He's just enriching himself. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, again, you're always welcome to come to my panel. But, when it comes to other politicians, namely the Biden administration, Obama enriched himself, the Clintons enriched themselves. Um, Trump already had guap, all that paper, before he even stepped to politics. Um, and again, like, there's more than enough negative media that covers everything that Trump does. Um, if there were, these heavy duty instances that nobody else does when it comes to politics of enriching himself, there would have been more than enough coverage in the mainstream media. And I get you as a brother that follows and believes much of what you hear from the mainstream media. I don't believe any. I do listen to the mainstream media. I'm not gonna front. And no, I don't listen to Fox. It's probably like the least news channel I listen to. I listen to MSNBC. I mean, or NBC. I'm sorry, CBS, ABC. I watch the morning news shows that come, the Sunday morning news shows every 10 o'clock every Sunday. But the one I won't watch is the Fox. I think it's called Morning News or some shit. I listen to Meet the Press. I forgot what the other ones are called right now. But again, I like to see what lies they come up with, but I definitely don't believe them. But I think I take you as a brother who believes a lot of what you hear in terms of what the TV is telling you, especially when it comes to the Democrats, or if it props up Democrats or shits on Trump. Let me see what happened in that Venezuelan and oil and Qatar bank account. I'm not sure, but I don't know if I've heard of it succinctly. Maybe I've heard of it like in the background, but it's nothing I've that I know of personally. You're welcome to say it though. I'm tracking the wars and inflation. I don't think you're really tracking the inflation to the degree that you're claiming. Again, Biden had record high inflation, and I don't remember. And I do listen to your channel with quite a degree of frequency, but I don't recall you really riffing about like the record high gas prices under the Biden administration, inflation, which again also at record highs under the Biden administration. The fact that we were bankrolling the Ukrainian war, which I mean, right now, I mean, with this conflict in Iran, there were much more positive results for America by us decapitating the Ayatollah and many tiers of the hierarchy of the IRGC, which is as a their public policy is debt to America. I mean, like, not that I was saying we should go into Iran full board, like or I want an Iran war, but you know do I shed tears for Iran's nuclear capability being thwarted? Absolutely not. Do I shed tears for the Ayatollah being under the dirt? No way. Let me see. Why do you assume I look at the mainstream media? I'm only assuming that because a lot of your points, yeah, a lot of your talk, like a lot of times, like when I see you get into back and forth, and a lot of the stories that you cover, like in terms of like news or politics, are just basically regurgitating mainstream media talking points. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of it is just reaffirming, your own emotions at times. And it's not like you're exclusive in that. Thank you. I'm not trying to shit on you or anything, but I'm very much acclimated. Most of the people that I flux with in terms of content creators on the same vein. My brother Reggie Owens, the boxing scholar, also my brother. Channels that come from like where we come from in terms of YouTube, black boxing content creators. I'm also in that vein too. But in terms of being where where we come from, YouTube Black Boxing, like when it comes to talking politics, is basically venting, a hatred for Trump, which again, I mean, that's your perspective, but nothing of like what you're illustrating at times like is nothing I haven't heard from like the mainstream media. You know what I'm saying? Uh Honest question because you just say that a lot. Yeah, I mean, my bad, bro. I think I just answered that. I watch Breaking Points. Breaking Points is kind of whack. Drop Site News. I don't know if I've heard of them. Secular Talk. I think I have heard of Secular Talk though. The Young Turks is trash. Hassan Piker, trash. Mehdi Hassan, and I'm saying trash in terms of liberal trash. And the Lever. I'm pretty sure I've heard of the Lever too, but I don't want to misquote myself. But I used to watch Breaking Points too. I mean, Breaking Points was somewhat okay for, and by somewhat okay, I mean like a lot of times they choose to ignore like real obvious stories that were pro Trump. But Breaking Points was probably decent because I used to watch Breaking Points too. Um, if it's the same show like with Crystal Ball, like the chick with the short hair, like I know they have different hosts now if I remember correctly, but they've kind of gone into the dumps too though. And again like it was probably good for like half a year maybe, like 2021 era. I supported helping Ukraine at the beginning, but it is getting out of hand and they are committing war crimes. Yeah, they would, and when they struck the pipeline in the what they said was a Russian pipeline, that's the biggest environmental disaster in the history of the world. And a lot of people, a lot of liberal people were cheering it on, like, yeah, F the Russians, like, we hit their pipeline, or Ukraine hit their pipeline. It wasn't admitted that Ukraine hit their pipeline initially, I mean, up until like 2 years later. But anybody who was a neutral observer like myself, and knew the way in which Ukraine has dealt, and not to say that I'm propping up Russians because I'm not, but Ukraine is committing war crimes, and a lot of the people that run the Ukrainian military, it's people that are NAZ wise, um, you know, and a lot of them are small hats that are NAZ wise, which is funky enough. These are people that hit civilian targets at a constant, so but again, I mean, like in 2022, I mean, a lot of people were changing their profile pictures with blue and yellow flags in the background, so-called minorities like you and I, because I mean, you know, they think Putin is Trump's boy and they hate Trump. You know what I'm saying? But I look at the Ukraine war from a 40,000 foot perspective. Like I try to look at everything else. And we were paying, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is something you can Google too. Um, we were paying the pensions of everybody in Ukraine under the Biden administration. We were paying just about everybody's salary. I think the money that we've allocated towards Ukraine in the process of this war is like 192 billion. That was committed before Trump got into office. Thus far, I mean, in spite of the fact that we've committed a lot to the effort in Iran, but bang for your buck. Not that I want any war again. I mean, like, but the value of what we've achieved in Iran in terms of thwarting their nuclear capability is far more effective and far more beneficial to America's interests. And it probably costs 1/7 of the price of what we've dished out to what was considered one of the most corrupt countries in the world, Ukraine, up until the point that we started the Biden administration, at least financing the war effort in Ukraine. Uh, but so are we? It's like we're committing more crimes. You'd have to tell me. I mean, the most I've heard in terms of like Iran, like with work, where as far as war crimes are concerned, are the fact that we hit that school, and that was like months ago, and I think it was still cold when that popped off. Other than that, I mean, like I haven't heard much in terms of us, the U.S. at least, or committing war crimes. I stopped watching mainstream media when they didn't cover the Gaza. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, again, like this was something that happened under the Biden administration, and it was riveted up. In fact, Biden financed that country that was committing that atrocity in Gaza 4 times the amount that the previous Trump administration had given them. And this was happening. If I understand somewhat, if you give them bread, like after that, what I think was a little bit of a psyop, October 7th attack. But if you give them bread October 8th, and then you keep it moving, like that's one thing. But the Biden administration was financing these people when that whole Gaza thing was at its worst. I mean, not to say that it's great now, but a lot of what was popping off there under the Trump administration was far worse than what you were seeing under the Biden administration. Even when I discuss politics on my show, I don't even reference MSN clips. It's usually online news media. Yeah, I'm saying more in the sense of like talking points. So, what I'm saying? Like a lot of like the stories that get covered at times, you know, um, like for instance, I'll give you a good example. Like I believe this weekend there was, and I'm not saying like what you should and shouldn't cover, and I'm more talking about the mainstream media. The mainstream media right now, I think this weekend it got released at Fauci's journals as to what he was doing during the COVID or the pandemic. That got released, I think, this weekend, and a lot of what he was putting out there, like to the public, was far different than what he was putting down in his journal, and what he was communicating with other people was far different than what he was putting out in the public. This story, I mean, should be like the biggest news story that's probably ever happened. These are scandals bigger than Watergate, from my perspective, at least. But when I listen to the mainstream media, like you'll hear more stories about you know a Trump crypto or some shit, or Trump did this bad or that bad. Like we can't like and it like not to say that they don't get these stories like with the Fauci story don't get covered at all, but they'll cover it in passing, and they'll just keep it pushing. Like I always bring up like to my brother Reggie Owens, and Reggie Owens is a very fickle person when it comes to defending Democrats. I mean, this dude loves Democrats, but I bring up the fact that Joe Biden had that conference with the so-called black leaders of America when his presidency first launched off, and he's basically sunning these dudes. He's basically telling them like, "I ain't doing shit for y'all. Y'all better get in line of the Latinos because they're about to outnumber you soon." Mind you, these are people that probably helped get Biden elected in 2020. And he's basically telling them, "I ain't doing shit for y'all. Like, I beat Trump, and that should be enough for y'all." And this story should have been, way bigger than like in the mainstream media. But I bring it up like Reggie covered it one time and kept it pushing. Thankfully I wasn't there, like, when he covered the story, because I probably would have been able to highlight some more hypocrisy. But um the that should be, I mean, especially nowadays. I mean, like a lot of times like my so-called black brothers get extremely fickle when it comes to times that they think that a Republican, or God forbid Trump, gets something misconstrued as anti, so-called black. Like they'll run with that shit for years. But Biden is basically telling the so-called black leaders, which I don't consider them, like, I think Al Sharpton was on the call. Al Sharpton's a fucking lame. Um, Anybody who like is at the forefront of like so-called black politics, to me, I mean, not because they're so-called black, but because at the end of the day, most of these people are largely sellouts. And like that conference call, you could look it up. It's on YouTube still. Like Biden insults so-called black leaders, something to that effect. I actually covered it on my channel at one point too. Um, but again, like what they don't report is to me, like the mainstream media, what they report and what they don't report, especially nowadays, are of equal import to me. And again, I mean, like, I get a lot of slack for reading Twitter, but one, I love reading more than I like to consume visually. But a lot of times Twitter has great news stories. I mean, like, it's not all pro Trump, like there's a lot of things that come out on Twitter that, I wish would get covered far more in the mainstream media, including Fox. Fox is probably the worst network of anyone I mentioned. Yeah, Crystal Ball. I like Crystal Ball too. I find her somewhat attractive, at least more so in the past. Be right back. Hey, bro, you can't even be critical of Trump without saying, but Biden did this and Obama did that. No accountability for the current president at all. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with the I do have issues with the some of the things that Trump has done. Like I think that the interest rates, I mean, it would have been beneficial for my interest at least to been chopped down far more. I wish the prices of things were a little bit cheaper, but I do know that they're cheaper than they were under Biden. But again, I mean, like, a lot of times when it comes to the Obama administration, I was the biggest Obama person before he ran. And I don't vote, but I wanted Obama to get in really bad his first term. And I would reason for why Obama wasn't accomplishing shit, especially when it came to, so-called minorities. And ultimately, I mean, like, after a while, I'm like, yo, a lot of these things are, a lot of it, I would try to reason with myself. Well, Obama inherited a mess, and but at the end of the day, I mean, like, was it a mess? Yeah, I mean, post Iraq, I get it. Like the 2008 crash, but Trump inherited a real mess, mess. And again, I hold him accountable for a lot of things. I don't like the fact that the cushy relationship between Israel and like Trump at times. I wish it were far more combative. But if I had to pick any politician that's given any sort of flack to Israel, I mean, especially recently, I mean, Trump is kind of like putting those things on blast far more, and he really can't come out in the open like that because of the bigger things that are happening, which I covered earlier, which is the great battle between globalism and sovereignty, or globalism versus the United States, the illest sovereign of nations. I remember when, yo, my brother Deuce. I remember when Sleepy Joe wasn't so sleepy when he was talking to the black folks. Yeah, word up, bro. He was on it. He was wheeling and dealing. I mean, a lot again, like I mean, like to me, like um I'm gonna trying to think of a story that was probably popping off at that time. I mean, like that had to do with Trump. It's probably January 6th. I mean, but to me, I mean, and this is me personally, because I consider the so-called black man my brother. But that story had a lot more relevance to me than January 6th even. I mean, like, say what you will. And me, especially knowing what I know about January 6th now, like there were up to 400 federal agents. Who knows how many federal assets that were in the crowd that day. I mean, and again, I mean, this is the most armed community in the whole country. The Republican pro MAGA crowd, like a lot of these people have weaponry. But if they wanted to overtake the Capitol that day and bring weaponry, I mean, they would have had tons of weaponry, and none of that stuff was popping off like that. You had little rogue elements that were, being above and beyond. And a lot of times, like when it comes to Ray Epps, one of the first people that was in the Capitol that day, they didn't investigate him. He was on the FBI's top 10 list for one day. Then they took him off. Then they said there were mainstream media's news stories saying that it was wrong to give this private citizen such bad news stories, and it was a MAGA conspiracy that he had been one of the people that popped off January 6th. A bunch of bullshit, But again, like I mean, at the end of the day, January 6th to me was way overblown in terms of bad things that happened that day. I do think that people that vandalized and hit officers and shit like that, they should be punished. But the a lot of people were making it seem like that was a Pearl Harbor moment for America, and that wasn't the case. But the fact that Joe Biden, who was already like 40 years deep into being a racist president, I mean, or 40 years deep into being a racist politician, one of the most racist politicians, um, dealing um, before he even gets into the presidential office, after he got elected, according to many people, I mean, like by with the help of the so-called black community, comes out and tells the so-called black community leaders, so-called leaders, like, listen, like get in line of the get behind the Latinos because we ain't doing shit for you. And the best I could do for you is that I beat Trump. Oh, I love to talk about January 6th. Come through, Deuce. I mean, you my brother, bro. I love talking to you too, bro. Like, this is another one of the illest minds. And again, I don't know if you peeped. No, you did peep game because you were in you were present the last time I was on the boxing scholars panel, and that bitch ass dude paid $40 to silence me, and that other disgusting broad so-called queen whatever her name is, mad ratchet, fucking dirty. I don't know what she looks like, but I'm pretty sure she looks fucked up. But that stupid bitch wouldn't let me talk like one sentence, and like I look at that personally as censoring. I mean, it is outright censoring. The dude paid $40 like a lame to get me knocked out of there. But what that other bitch does during his panels is also to me a form of censoring. But the boxing scholar, again, when it comes to defending Democrats, he allows for that kind of stuff to go down, unfortunately, like uh because I mean, he's not doesn't like Trump, you know what I'm saying? Like, but and a lot of stuff that I mean, like they make it seem like I can't talk about so-called black people. I mean, most of what I say is in the interest of so-called black people, but people are just lame though, real corny about this. But nah, I mean, I'd gladly talk about January 6th. I don't know if I ever really covered the topic like um that thoroughly on my own channel. Again, I mean, like, when it comes to YouTube, I have to dance around being censored myself. And most of these topics that unfortunately, if they benefit Democrats, if you look at them from a critical perspective, I mean, it's pretty much a death knell to your channel. But my channel ain't popping like that anyway. I'm stuck at right above 500 subs in perpetuity. And a lot of that is because of my anti-vaxisms, my trying to look at some of the positives of what's happened under the Trump administration, or highlighting the fact that most of the Democrat communist political base, the only thing they're trying to offer is we're gonna get Trump, we're gonna get Trump, we're gonna get Trump, and nothing for people that look like you and I. I mean, what else are some of the things that cause you to be? And I mean, like again, like it's not like I'm daydreaming like that. These things could get you censored. I mean, it was public policy for this platform, Facebook, Instagram, to boot people for being critical of any of these things 2 years ago. and I hate censorship of any variety, whether it be some ratchet ass bitch on the Boxing Scholars panel, or whether it's some small hat underlord that's doing it from a social media's corporate office and selecting certain content to be put out and certain content to be censored. I don't like any sort of censoring. I mean, like, and I'm pretty consistent with that stance too. You know, I don't want when the so-called Black Messiah, you know, appears to us by way of surviving some abortion or some shit. You know, I want his voice to be amplified and not taken down a peg by a platform like YouTube. Um, yeah, but if you're still in the building, those times, you're more than welcome to come through. I don't know if you saw too that day when I was on the Boxing Scholars panel, that emotional ass dude that was like screaming. I don't know what his name is, like JXXX, some shit like that. Um, but the dude that paid $40 to get me kicked off the stream, which I think he could have paid Boxing Scholar 40 cents, and Boxing Scholar, because he's very gun ho about defending the democratic um slave masters. You know, he probably would have booted me for 4 cents. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people don't like discourse, they like emotion. And again, I mean, like, and I debating like whether I should pay for StreamYard because I love having open panels. I don't, as long as, like, you know, we stay on subjects and talk about things, and you know, things don't get like into just over talking to dude just cause you don't agree. Like, I mean, I love to have them. But I'm actually debating whether I should pay for StreamYard. But I just looked at the price and that shit said like 400, close to 500 for a year, and that's not popping off one bit. I wouldn't pay $4. I mean, like, no, I would pay $4. I can't. I'm very cheap. I mean, but if it were like a dub per month, I mean, like, maybe I could you know, make the sacrifice and pay for that bread. But shit, I can't. I mean, if somebody were by some ungodly like miracle we're listening to this content right now and it's pleasing to you and you want to finance this channel for 1 year to be on StreamYard, and you want to keep me I'll try to at least come through twice a week and have open panels. But I find it very hard to pay for StreamYard especially when they're talking like close to 500. That shit is not going down. There's many things I could buy, like kicks. Not that I buy all these things. Art, which your boy has this fine piece of art at the cribs. From my brother Optimo. But there's tons of things that I could buy with 400. Um, but StreamYard subscription is not one. Actually, I said too earlier that I'm gonna have to start folding clothes at the cribs. Yes, I fold clothes. My wife does the laundry normally, but I like my shit to be folded in a tight fashion and put away like the way I like it. But having said that, I'm not gonna stop the stream while I fold clothes. I mean, if I think of things as I do it, I'm just gonna mutter it out. If somebody were to come through to the stream, or if somebody engages me, maybe I'll sit in front of the laptop in the process of the stream. But I'm just gonna multitask, say these things that are on my mind um, as I do shit around the cribs. Let me finish my coffee. The weather's disgusting in New York right now too. I mean, I hate muggy weather more than anything. Um, Oh, I have a hundo on the battery too, so I'm gonna turn the video streaming off and turn on my AC and then start folding. If somebody comes through and wants to pull up, uh, more than happy to sit in front of the laptop once again. But I'm gonna keep streaming while I do what I gotta do here in the cribs. One of the topics that's actually on the on my screen, I somewhat covered it a couple minutes ago, and that was actually Dr. Fauci and like what his journals revealed. Um, I don't know who put the story out there. Don't really care that much. But tomorrow, he'll be sitting in front of Congress. I think Rand Paul ordered for him to have to answer to the content of his journal tomorrow in front of Congress. And it's good to see. I mean, like much of the things that have been revealed to us, like during the Trump administration, in terms of stuff that, whether that be political weaponization or the fact that COVID was largely overblown, nothing has been done about it. I mean, like besides the fact that certain things are revealed to us, I mean, I do get frustrated with the fact that people aren't going to jail behind a lot of these issues that I find of real import. And I was actually on a channel yesterday. I'm sorry that I don't know this brother's name. I couldn't sleep last night, and I actually found him randomly. His name was Star, and he had 3 numbers on his channel. He's a black brother. Um, but and he had an open panel. I like to go on anybody's open panels, especially with people that don't agree with me. Not for the sake of having disagreements or being disagreeable in the classical sense of the word, but I like to go to open panels because at the end of the day, I mean, like what people are feeling, like real people, is far more important to me than what I hear as far as perspectives go on the mainstream media. Like to me, like what people are feeling is basically like, wow, like what I find like, or like how people are ingesting certain stories. Like it kind of just gives me a barometer of what's really happening in the world, if that makes sense. And again, like sometimes, like too, I think a lot of times I tend to go on panels that maybe I don't agree with their talking points. If I think that their talking points are not right, or many times if it's just coming from a perspective of regurgitating, hating on Trump talking points, if that makes sense. And again, I mean, like most people, like there's more than enough anti-Trump rhetoric happening, especially in the so-called minority community. So, I mean, being that I'm a so-called minority myself, I like to come from the perspective of from what my reality is, the fact that I was a very much to the left of most liberals in the early 2000s. From my perspective of the fact that I didn't like Trump one iota when he first started running, and then I started seeing that most of the press that Trump gets, most of the mainstream media is basically one large shitting on Trump reel at a constant. And people always bring up, what about Fox News and one OAN, One American News? Like, all right, I don't listen to Fox News. I mean, I haven't listened to Fox News in decades, but they'll always mention like Newsmax or One American News. Like those channels aren't on regular TV. Like your mom and dad is not listening to no OAN or Newsmax. Your mom and dad probably doesn't even know that they exist. The boomers don't know that these networks exist. The boomers probably don't even know how to navigate YouTube. Not that I do either. I'm very technically improficient when it comes to like technology myself. But I like to discuss these things because a lot of times, like when you're willing to admit that when it comes to the choice of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris versus the Trump choice that we had in 2024, in spite of the fact that I don't vote, my choice was for Trump to win. I prefer Trump to win. And a lot of people try to see what your perspective is. A lot of times people just try to guilt trip you or try to make you feel bad for having that point of view. But one of my main reasoning behind the fact that I wanted Trump to win was because he wasn't pushing a mandate. I mean, when it came to the jab, um, and under the Biden administration, at least for the first half of it, it seemed like it was nonstop mandate pushing at, like, I mean, full bore, like at a constant. I mean, I don't know if you guys, a lot of people are very forgetful or willfully ignorant when it comes to trying to remember the end of the Trump administration and the first term, the beginning of the Biden administration. A lot of people are willfully forgetful when it comes to the whole Biden administration, honestly. My brother Mark Nash, like for example, like a lot of people get trifled when I bring up the Joe Biden administration because it just happened. I mean, yet, you know, for while Biden was in office for 4 years, a lot of these same channels like Reggie Owens, Boxing Scholar, my brother Mark Nash, all they talked about was Trump the whole entirety of the time that um, Joe Biden was in office. So it's a little bit of a double standard, which, I mean, it's clear. But one of my main reasonings behind the fact that I didn't want the Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, to seat the presidential office again, it's a lot of it has to do with my stance of being anti-mandate. I hate the fact that we were mandated to take the jab in 2020. Period. I mean, or in the early 2020s. Um, and I said that as one of the, like, in this channel that I was on yesterday. His name is Sun, and followed by three numbers. Uh, but I gave that as one of the reasoning as to why I wanted Trump to win. And mind you, I never met the man in my life, and I do appreciate his honesty when he told me that due to his jobs restrictions that he was forced to take the mandate too, and that he was very hesitant and he didn't want to do it, but in order to keep his job, that he had to take the jab in order to retain his job. And it was myself, the host of this channel, Son, whatever his, like, three numbers. It was also another two people that were on the panel that were also anti-Trump, and all besides the youngest person who was on that panel, but everybody else had taken the jab too. And I mean, it wasn't like they were propping up the fact that they took the jab, or like most of them seemed hesitant. In fact, the other person who was anti-Trump on the panel was, and every time that somebody tells me that they took the jab, like, I don't look at that. Even if we don't agree, like when people like don't agree with me who vote liberal, like across the board, blue, no matter who, when they tell me that they had to take the jab, I don't look at it like, you sucker, like, that's what you get for voting, like, I'm not one of them kind of dudes. Like, I mean, I really feel for, like, you having to take something that you weren't unsure of. I honestly like feel a lot of empathy for people that took it, even if they wanted to take it, frankly. Especially, looking at the revelations that were made that I talked about earlier with these Fauci journals, where he's talking about the efficacy of the vaccine not really doing shit for when it comes to the Wu flu. But it just occurred to me kind of because I hear a lot of people that disagree with me. I mean, like a lot of so-called minorities that I know strictly from YouTube, but I've known for the span through the span of many years who talk politics, um, that also have taken the jab. And when you ask them, I mean, a lot of times, like sometimes they'll be candid and tell you that they had to take it, or like and again, I find no pleasure in the fact that people that may not agree with me politically um, had to take the jab, and most of the people that tell me that they took it, as far as the people I know on YouTube, um, usually tell me from the perspective of them being reluctant to having to take the jab. But and again, like most of the people that I speak to on YouTube are 90% of them are so-called minorities, and 90% of those so-called minorities are so-called black YouTube content creators and YouTube people in the chat. But I don't know. I mean, like it just as much as it saddens me, I mean, but again, I get a lot of rancor from these people too. I mean, like these are the same people that are still set tripping when it comes to Democrats. In the case of the boxing scholar, these are the same kind of people that are more than happy to censor me from saying anything that's not rock hopping a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? So it's very like it just but also like I mean I honestly if I have to I think 3/4 of these people ultimately the people that I deal with likely or maybe more than 3/4 of these people probably took the jab, and I'm pretty sure 90% of them that took it because again, like the jab was a political statement under the early parts of the Joe Biden administration and the end of the Trump administration. A lot of the people that did take it, though, to them that was a mic drop moment. Like they were like to them they were looking at it as like f these Republicans, like they like they're gonna die, like and they don't believe in science. A lot of these conversations were taking place again. Like a lot of people want to forget the early 2020s, and I could do nothing but remember the early 2020s. I think the early 2020s, not just because of the jab, COVID, all the political craziness that's happened since then, but to me, it was a pivotal time of my life, and I think a lot of people feel that way too. It was one of the craziest eras that's ever happened in the history of the world, and definitely the history of this country. The life that we've lived through from 2020 till 2026. But I get a lot of flack when I try to bring up like Biden, for instance. Oh, you want to keep remembering the past. I mean, like, and it's almost the same issue when it comes to the jab. It's almost the same instance when it comes to talking COVID. I mean, unless it's like something in which it's a negative talking point against Trump, they don't want to talk about COVID. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to talk about the jab. Like they'll talk about the jab now and be like, "Oh, who's the first one to take the jab?" Or who, like, Trump, who made the jab? Like, but they like, and it'll just be like a fake mic drop moment or a fake talking point, and that's it. But like like they weren't saying who made the jab when Joe Biden was forcefully mandating it. Like they don't say like that Trump made the jab when when they were rock hopping Fauci's nuts, um, when he was lying to the American public while having a different opinion behind the scenes about the efficacy of the jab. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's very hard. Like sometimes, like I mean, it gives me a lot of rancor in some recesses of my own mind. Um, in spite of the fact that I do love my people, in spite of the fact that at times, I'm more than willing to discuss things with liberals or people that defend liberals, but people that are anti, conservative for all intents and purposes, or people that are take anonymity with anybody who doesn't have the opinion that Trump's this like demon or some shit. Like they look at you like they're your enemies. Like there's good people here on YouTube that, you know, like if I'm having a live stream that's talking about politics, like, you know, they'll say some shit like in a very negative sense. And these are people that I know, like, you know, like that I don't think they're bad people or anything like that, or I don't think that they really hold ill will you know, towards my being ultimately. But when it comes to politics, I mean, like these people get very, very tribalized and you know, more than willing to see you burn. Like if you have the stance that I don't think that Trump's the worst thing in politics, but I don't see that coming from the other perspective. Like I don't see a lot of people who voted for Trump that will tell you, oh, well, just because you voted for I don't see many people that voted for Trump that hear somebody say like, I voted for Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, you know, Joe Biden. I reelected Joe Biden. I wanted Kamala Harris to win. I don't hear like it's not very commonplace like for somebody to say, well, yeah, like in response to that, who's like so-called conservative. I don't see in my normal life, or I don't even see it on YouTube where it's commonplace for somebody to respond to that. Well, oh, you're an idiot, or don't like, you know, you can't talk on my channel, or, you know, like trying like um bitch ass ways to like censor somebody who's dissenting against these opinions, like how the boxing scholar some like times allows if I'm on his channel, or how certain other channels like my brother Reggie Owens, like, you know, won't like well are very liberal when it comes to putting their uh opening their panels. But if someone like myself who doesn't agree with the anti-Trump rhetoric at all times um comes through, that like they front, you know what I'm saying, like I don't like see people like from the perspective of a conservative, or from the perspective of somebody who won't vote for liberals, having the same rancor or the same ill will towards like idiot Democrats, towards piece of shit communists, people that are propping up a globalist agenda, whether they know it or not. You know, like and I guess I mean like to me in a sense, like in the bigger picture, I mean like ultimately, like if it comes to like the voting public, I think it's almost like a good campaign in a sense for people to see like how vitriolic or how underhanded or mean intentioned a lot of times Democrat defenders or the pro-liberal crowd, how bad these people could be. I mean, like when it comes to, I mean, talking about the president, like they'll say like his wife's the prostitute, like they'll cheer on the assassination attempts that have happened. You know, these people cheer on like when Charlie Kirk got murked. Um, Bruce Gas, my brother, how you doing, bro? Yo, Bruce Gas, if you want to come through too, man. I know I like, and I'm not inviting you solely for the because you don't agree with the Trump administration, but you're more than welcome to air those issues out on along with the Sir Foul Play ski if you're not doing nothing. Um, I'm over here folding clothes while I live stream, but um, I'll gladly cease my clothes folding operation. Oh, doing a trivia tonight, setting it up at the moment. Nice. Yeah, much success too. And I love your channel, Bruce. I like you very much as a person too, Bruce Cass. You know, in spite of the fact that we may not agree politically, you know, I think that you're a very nice guy. You know, like I thoroughly enjoy. And again, too, I mean, like, a lot. Well, I'm not gonna bring that stuff up. I was gonna bring up the fact that you've also received sometimes rancor from a lot of ignorant people when it comes to these things, like where they'll throw up like race and whatnot. And I get that stuff too. I was actually gonna, not that it's like the only thing popping off, but a lot of times, like if I speak on things that if I say, these things don't benefit so-called minorities of America, like they'll be like, "Oh, what nationality are you?" I'm like, "Oh, Puerto Rican." You see, like a lot of these Puerto Ricans, like they don't like, when it comes to like, when at the end of the day, like a lot of them don't like black people. Like it's stupid shit like that. Like, but I mean, I know, I believe that you're a white descent, and I've seen instances. I think I've seen instances as it happened that had zero to do with politics, like where disagreement about boxing will come up, and like people will bring up, race as, or like people will bring up like the fact that maybe like at times you like you know maybe one is trying to be subversive or some shit. But again, a lot of times, these people are very. A lot of times, a lot of these same people are um, these same emotional types that I reference in my in the process of this live stream. And like, I mean, I'm a family man through and through. I don't talk about my family. I don't even put like a lot of my family pics up on social media. Um, I've also been the benefactor of people bringing up like stuff I put on social media, and it's affected my business. Like, and again, like these are people that are very rabid about their hate for Trump. Like I work with animals. I'll just leave it at that. Um, Street animals, and even in that community, I mean, like a lot of times my it's not even opportunities or business opportunities. I make zero money from doing it, but a lot of times I have to come out of my pocket because of the inconveniences that I've had to endure from people that have found things on my social media. I'm not even gonna say whether it's this channel or not, like because I know how people are. Like people, like especially like people. I'm not gonna say just liberals, but people that hate Trump are more than happy to see your life get thrown asunder. Um, and they rationalize it as, well, he got to be racist because he supports Trump or some stupid logic like that. And it's just, I mean, it is how the country is in this current juncture. My brother Deuce Times, what it is.
Certified. What's up, Playboy? What's happening?
Chilling, chilling. I was just rambling on. I'm folding laundry while I was live streaming. But now that some distinguished characters like my brother Deuce Chimes has pulled up, my laundry folding operation is coming to a halt, so I could give my broski all the attention. What it is, bro? How you feeling?
Out here burning up like a motherfucker. Oh my bad, I mean cuss like that. Burning up like a mug,
Yeah,
waiting
did you
for
see
these
that
dog
link?
days or something.
My bad, but no,
Nope.
I'm only asking because you were on the live stream with me the other day on the boxing scholar. But did you see that lame ass dude that paid $40 to get me booted off?
Oh, yep. That's crazy. That
Corny.
was crazy.
And that other broad, I don't know what she looks like, but I'm pretty sure she looks fucked up. But
No,
like,
sun kiss.
yeah, queen, some shit. Like she'll stay
Yeah,
stepping
yeah,
on me.
yeah.
Like every time I try to say a point, like constantly stepping on me. And unfortunately, boxing scholar, like in spite of the fact that he's the bro, but they allow that stuff to happen because you have a different political, or I have a different political opinion. Or like they'll front on me like if I bring up like race, or if I speak on things like that have to do with so-called black people. But like most of the stuff I'm saying is basically like, these things may affect so-called black people, like immigration and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Yeah, I get
they
I get
make it
what you're
seem like,
saying.
yeah. and I'll never say like, but most times like, I mean, like, and it's coming from that perspective, but they'll just front like, oh, you can't talk on that subject. I honestly think a lot of the content he's pumping out is like basically in that vein, like, like fucking like the shit he was pumping out this morning, like is basically like as soon as I commented, like, oh, like he already had that shit ready, like, yo, he can't come through, and most other people can't talk about like, this subject, like, get lost, bro.
Yeah, well, you gotta understand, people in the South are still like segregated and shit. Like they still have like all black towns and all like that. So in a sense, I understand where you're coming from, but like I don't agree with that shit. Black people talk about white people, have opinions about what white people should do. Shit, it can go the other way. As long as we're not disrespectful, and you know what I mean. It don't make no big
What?
deal to me. Like that's how I am. The life I
Nah,
live is not a segregated life. So
yeah, no, and at the end of the day, too, like when it comes to like, I don't know if it's the same in Cali, but my man just like I help manage an artist, like and he's in California as we speak. He's actually in LA. But he was like a lot of the work that he's doing, the art, it's like in rundown areas because a lot of the art that he does is illegal. But
yeah,
a lot of like the videos that he's sending me of the homeless people in LA, yo, like 70 dead ass, bro. And I'm not being I don't like, and maybe you could tell me differently, like, but it looked like the large majority of them were so-called black cats. And I take no joy in that shit, like, because I know in Cali or LA that a lot of immigrants are being housed, like fresh off the boat. But
yeah,
and a lot of times when it comes to talking about the immigration issue, like even here in New York, like, I mean, like, why am I gonna like want to house an immigrant from some other country when my so-called black brothers are in the street even before these dudes got up in here? Like, you should have housed them first.
absolutely. Yeah, when it comes down to the black people, ain't no more resources. The money ran out. We don't have the capability for this, but everybody else, everything else, there's all kind of money. There's all kind of resources. There's all kind of, you know what I mean, programs and stuff for that. So that's something we've been dealing with for maybe about the last 20 years. LA's been real gentrified. And all those black people who used to live around and live in these apartments and all these houses and stuff, those are black people you see on the streets out there now. And it really
Yeah,
sucks.
bro. Nah, it's whack, bro. Like, and the like I and honestly, in terms of like the immigration issue on it at it on as it just as a standalone issue, I mean, it doesn't benefit black people one bit. Like at the end of the day, like, when it comes like when like I'll hear black like so-called black people venting, they'll stay be like, oh, these other groups, they're immigrants and they come into this country and then they start shitting on us, which is true. I mean, like but if I bring it up, they'll be like, oh, Puerto Ricans don't like black people. Like, I mean, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that do shit on black people. Like, I mean, it sucks, but these dudes will act like, immigrants fresh off the boat. I mean, like have like are on some kumbaya shit with the bros.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
They
give
are
them
not
one
absolutely
chance.
not. And they show you. And they show you right away.
Like that, like people will bring up like the whole like oh like it's I hear like from Cali, and I've only been to like San Fran, like the Northern Cali area, like Monterey, like Pacific Grove, but like I've never been to like LA. But like it
Okay.
seems like if you talk about political shit, like they'll make it seem like, oh, that there's brown and black coalition. Like, ain't no brown and black coalition. I never see this shit only like if it comes to like talking about white people back. Like
Yeah.
it seems like brown people, like for the most part, like don't really fuck with black people. I mean, like, and that whatever, that's their prerogative. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And that's really a LA thing or a Southern California thing. Like past Bakersfield. Bakersfield is the middle of California. So anything south of Bakersfield is like that. But Northern is not really like that. There's black and brown love in the Bay. You know what I mean? A lot of interracial couples. Even black and white couples, like the racism and the sectioning off, it doesn't really happen like that up north as much as it does down south. You know what I mean? You go up north, you got Asians and Samoans and Mexicans and everything else, you know what I mean, trying to navigate these waters to get to live the American dream. But Southern California, things are so segregated. And that's really from the gang shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the shit the Crips used to do to the Mexicans and all that. So that's really where the separation comes from. But it's not really like that in LA. Like I always tell people, California is three different states. It's like Northern California, Central California, and Southern California. They're all different worlds. Like completely different world. I can speak like New York, like you know, the Bronx and Queens. I'm pretty sure there's the same similarity. Like I'm pretty sure that everybody doesn't get along and everybody rep their territory. But there's pretty much similarities in between the boroughs. You guys call them boroughs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In
No, well,
California, 3 different states.
well, I'll say it like this, like and this is not a talking point that I've come up with. Like, this is like I've heard other people say this, and it's a reality. A lot of things that happen negatively in this country, at times or most times, affect Black people the most, and that's not like
Yeah,
but like then when it comes to like addressing these things, like or like that like if I happen to bring them up like in the processes of these conversations, like I mean like not I don't want to make it about me, but like when it comes to like the immigration issue as a standalone issue, like it's now like those conversations like get like put in the cut, like because of I hate Trump, you know what I'm saying, like
yeah.
or like like now like it's those people should stay here, like or like how are you gonna pick your fruit, like you know what I'm saying, like
It's
or
so everybody's so propagandized, bro. Once you realize how many sheep is in the world, or actually in this country, you know, it's kind of disgusting. Like really, so many people are sheep. You know what I mean? Someone tells you what to think, someone tells you how to move, and you act like that. You spread that shit onto to your circle, to your kids. So it's a sad domino effect. I wish more people were critical thinkers and free thinkers than they were listeners and followers.
yeah, and I think, and I've probably known you since around the COVID era, like from YouTube mostly. I mean,
Yeah.
or from YouTube solely. But I think that was kind of like a marker in time, like what people would be down for or how people would act in certain situations. And a lot of people like now, like in 2026, like every time I go onto this channel, like on a panel, let's say, and a lot of times it's not even channels that we know, or that like it's channels that I find that random, like that talk politics. When I
Yeah.
bring up the fact that like I didn't want the Democrats to win because of the mandate issue, because the mandate issue was a huge deal
Mhm.
to me in 2021. Um,
Me
like
too.
a lot of these dudes are on fucking uh Huey P. Newton time, but then they'll be like, yo, but I took the vax, like, like and I don't take no joy in that shit. Because like somebody
Yeah.
votes liberal and shit like that, I don't be laughing like, oh shit, you took the vax, like you stupid motherfucker. Like, nah, I'm saddened by that shit. But most
Right. I'm
times
like,
I'm
I'm
jumping.
glad you survived. When somebody tell me to take the vax, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
word
glad you
up.
okay, homie. Like for real.
Yeah,
You're like shit.
and I'm looking at it like most of these dudes that are politicized like that, especially like on like that look like us, um, are when I put it out there casually, most of these dudes took that shit. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
A lot of people were forced to do that shit. A lot of people like me, swear to God, I didn't want to take the test. Like I'm seeing all these false negatives and double double readings and shit and inconclusive. So like, what's the test for? Like this is shit. This is some shit that you gotta get tested to know that you have. Nigga, if I got a headache, a cold headache, I know I'm sick. My nose running and shit like that, I know I'm sick. It's not no shit that I don't know I have it until I'm tested for it. Like get the fuck out of here with that. And then it wasn't as deadly as everybody trying to make it seem. You know what I mean? They were cooking the books, like all that shit's coming out. They were taking advantage of people. Like you see all these damn hospitals, they having pizza parties and they kicking back all damn day. They talking about
Dancing.
all the hospitals are full. Like no, the fuck they ain't.
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody even going to the fucking hospital. Y'all in here doing dance videos and having TikTok parties and shit. And you're talking about these hospitals are full. Get the fuck out of here.
And I don't know if you ever peeped any of this, but I mean I fucks with Twitter a lot, and a lot of time I be on YouTube too, like a lot, like in the cut, like throughout the day. I love YouTube, but
Me too.
I love YouTube because it's just regular dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like giving their perspective, and which I find more tangible than like the mainstream media. But during the COVID era, like a lot of these people, like I mean, when you brought up the fact, like if certain like liberal people would
Mhm.
suggest that like people that weren't taking the jab like should be locked up. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like they shouldn't be allowed
You
to
should lose your
shop.
job. You should be
Yeah,
debanked. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's how you really feel? Like, what? Like
now
that's
but
just some
now
of the
these people
saddest
will be like,
shit.
oh, if you bring it up now, they'll be like, oh, why are you still talking about that shit? Like the shit just
Yeah.
happened.
And a lot of people were affected by that, man. You see so many videos of people getting dragged out their jobs, nurses and doctors and teachers and shit that were how did like man, these people go to school for this shit. They go through all kind of training and all this shit. And it's said because they don't want to take some fucking experimental procedure that throw all that shit away. That was bullshit. And I
Yeah,
know
and
in New York they got their get back, but I didn't hear about that in Cali.
they got their get back as far as being able to sue or something.
Like getting their back pay and all that restitution for things like that. There was a court case out there. The people who was affected by it and got fired and all that, they got their back pay and restitution and all that shit.
Oh, okay.
Because that
Yeah,
was one of the things with Kyrie Irving, why they had to trade him. They're
yeah,
like they
I
owed him so
forgot
much
about
money.
that. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
they owed him so much money for the case that got brought up.
Do you recall like when that issue came up? Not to cut you off, but or like to cut your wisdom, but do you recall like when that issue happened with Kyrie Irving that there were like a ton of
Yeah,
Israelite dudes that surrounded the stadium or some shit
yeah.
or Barclays?
When the Jewish started going to the sitting in the front row, and then the people started supporting him. I remember Jalen Brown was out there. That's one of the reasons why he gets so much bad press because he stood next to Kyrie and stood up for him.
Yeah, bro. I mean, is it that like I just so many bugged out things happened since 2020. Like I even forgot that Kyrie thing that you just mentioned.
Yeah, he said
Yeah,
he didn't want to take the jab, and they try to go against him against anti-Semitism and all that. And they're like, no, this is wrong. Like they suspended him for no reason. And Jalen Brown was like, no, okay, we got to come to a conclusion on this, get him back on the court. Then he couldn't play home games. Like it was all kind of bullshit. Like you
yeah.
can go practice at home, you can go to the game, but you can't play in the game. Like what?
Nah, stupid shit. And that no, and like people like try to forget it too. Like everywhere I was navigating during that time, if I ain't like most times I wasn't wearing a mask. Like if I
At
went into a
all.
store, like they would have to tell me like put on the mask. Like I'm not gonna fight about it, but you know what I'm saying. But like besides that, I never took a test. Like never, I definitely didn't take that bullshit, the jab.
I had
But
to take a test every fucking week for
oh,
I work for the city. And I had to take it. My wife told me to take it. I was gonna go home. Like, nah, man, I'm not gonna fucking do this shit. I'm gonna get unemployment. Like, you niggas ain't gonna fucking make me do this shit. Like, man, there's been so much shit about these damn tests. The tests already come fucking with COVID, the protocols and all kind of stuff like that. I was seeing all that shit on Twitter.
yeah, bro. Like it was definitely a crazy time, but no, and a lot of times, like when I talk about on these panels, especially like politics, if I, God forbid, I bring up the Joe Biden administration, these dudes like, oh, like you only want to bring up the past type shit, like my man, like during the Biden administration, y'all were only bringing up Trump, and
Man,
like the Biden, like the administration was forcing these mandates, which I it's not like I'm bringing up the mandate shit now to make Trump look good or some shit. Like, I mean, a lot of people hated the mandates.
Everybody. That's why it didn't work. So many people resisted that shit, man. People had fake vaccine cards. People had all kind of shit like to get around that shit. Me, I refuse to do it. You want me to get a card to go to a game, to a restaurant? You won't get my money. Whatever. Like I'm content. Like I don't gotta go to none of your restaurants. I don't gotta go to none of your games. Well, you want me to jump through some fucking extra hoops? You want me to take a vaccine card because I saw that fucking alcohol here? Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I was allergic to going to hospitals during that time too. I mean, like, because it seemed like everybody who was coming up like fucking with their life ended were like
Yeah.
after a visit to the hospital.
And it was like that before COVID. No one trusted the hospitals. Oh man, my uncle went there for a fever and he dead. Or it's all kind of stories about people suing the hospitals and shit for malpractice. And them hospitals were killing people, putting people on ventilators and shit, and giving them the wrong. I forgot the medicine they were giving them to help. That they were. It was
Regeneron.
It was what'd you say?
Was it? It wasn't Regeneron, was it?
I think it was. It was one of those medicines that it was fast tracking the damn COVID to the old people and shit. So it was all kind of shit that was going on. That they didn't know. And to me, it's cool to say you don't know, but don't tell me to do no fucking experiment. Fuck that.
Yeah, word up, man.
Fuck that.
Nah, and
if you don't know, we both don't know together. We'll figure this shit out, but don't come up with no fucking hair scheme, harebrained and scheme and shit. And all these fucking medical companies then tripled their worth and doubled their worth during this shit. Amazon and Walmart fucking tripled and doubled their net worth during this shit. COVID was the biggest wealth transfer in the history of this country.
And it was highly politicized too. Like, I mean, a lot of these dudes be fronting like, oh, we had to do this. But like the political aspect of it, it was basically like if you weren't like pro like Fauci and fucking pro like taking the vax, like you were like this fucking anti like science or like that's all these conservatives that are doing that shit. Like they're gonna storm the Capitol. Like it was just stupid shit that was happening during that time. Like, of course I'm not gonna forget that shit. It just happened too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like I remember shit from kindergarten, and I'm fucking an old man now. Like, you think I'm gonna forget some shit that just happened? Like,
man, I know a lady that stopped talking to all her friends, divorced her husband, all that shit over this vaccine shit. She was wound up by that shit, this political shit, and she divorced her husband. Stopped talking to her friends. She stopped talking to my wife because she didn't get vaccinated. It was the craziest shit you want to see, bro.
Nah,
like,
that
fuck
shit,
her.
bro. It like during that time, bro, like that shit brought the knives out, and a lot of and there's a lot of people that stopped talking to me around that time, and these are people that I never had an issue with that I still love. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I mean, once you get into a position like where you kind of like go into a fighting stance, it's hard to come up off that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
And it's still like
that shit was crazy.
Like and it's just one of the issues, but to me that was the principal issue more so because it's almost like they were forcing you to take some shit that I was definitely unsure of. I wouldn't take that shit even if they had great results, bro. Like,
man, to me, I didn't feel like I needed it. Like you got a 99% chance of beating this shit. I had COVID 3 times. Me and my daughter had it. My daughter had it twice with me, and then one time my whole family had it. We had went to LA. We had went down to LA and fucking around and came back with it. And I was sick. I didn't feel like I was gonna die. You know what I mean? We were sick and couldn't breathe rarely and shit. But it wasn't no point when I'm waking up in the middle of the night like, oh, I'm gonna die. What am I gonna do? You know what I mean? To me, it was just like I just felt weak and sick.
Yeah,
All right, I
I
didn't feel like it was nothing I couldn't get from up under. You know what I mean?
I had it when it first popped out. Like, I mean, I don't like. I'm pretty sure it's what it was. Like, I mean, but I was really fucked up in the game. But this was like the early March, like around my birthday. But I was actually in Cali um when I came back on the plane, and there were tons of like so-called Asian people like coughing and all this shit. And the story was it wasn't really a big story up until I got back, and then I happened to get like real fucked up in the game, and I was like, I definitely got this shit. But I was laid out for like a month. I mean, like for like not a month, for like a week. But at the tail end of that shit, I ain't come up off that shit, like, cause that happened in March, and then fucking when they started throwing the vaccine shit out like at a constant, it wasn't no like impetus like, yo, I gotta take this shit now, like, you know. I've had the flu before, but I've had worse than I've had pneumonia, bro. You could give me a vaccine right now to never get the flu again, like, or and pneumonia. I ain't taking that shit, bro. Fuck out of here. I'm
Right?
good. I'll navigate like as with what God gave me. Oh, my brother Mark Nash came in the building. He said Aaron Rodgers definitely lied about being vaccinated. He probably did. I mean, more power to him. As long as he ain't take it, bro. Like, I mean, I'm more glad with people that didn't do it than like take any joy that uh a lot of people did do it. A lot of people that did do it, like, they reason with it, like, oh well, like, how, like, we had to do it to stop this shit. Like, how do you know that that shit was what stopped it?
They told you it didn't stop it. It told you you couldn't. You can still die from it. You can still catch it. You can still pass it. So I'm like, what is it for?
Yeah.
Like, what is it for? You got
No,
two
but
or three different vaccines. You got one. You can take one. You got boosters, and get the fuck out of here, man.
they'll make it seem as if implementing the whole like jab agenda was what stopped the COVID agenda. What really stopped COVID was the fact that they stopped showing the red numbers on the side of the news screens, like that Trump
Mhm.
had the whole time he was the president. Once Biden got in office, they stopped showing the death count and the hospitalization count on the red. I don't know if you remember that. Like they like
Man, I remember my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, she ended up having shingles. She ended up getting shingles. Man, they kept her in the hospital for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what's wrong with her? Like, so what's wrong with her? She up at the hospital. We can't go up there. We can't. She didn't have her phone charger, and she just sitting in the hospital like she's on vacation and shit. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I bet that counted as COVID too. I bet they
hell
kept it a hospitalization as COVID too. My homeboy died of hay fever, and his wife, she was like into it, whatever. She was like, she made sure they didn't put down COVID. He didn't put down COVID as the cause of death.
good. Yeah, where we live, like when my neighborhood, Sunset Park, like that's where they had like the Burger King truck where they were having to store people. Um, but like my neighborhood, Sunset Park, we're right next to like the second biggest Hebrew neighborhood in like the whole country. It's called Borough Park. Like them dudes weren't
Mm.
following a damn thing, and none of them were getting
A
that
damn
fucking shit.
thing.
None of them dudes were getting the fucking jab, and they were letting them dudes be, bro. Like, but meanwhile, like a couple blocks up, like they're trying to front on like having like so-called minorities show like a vaccine card to go get Burger King and arresting them.
Did y'all have where they're only letting so many people in the store at a time? You know how you go to Walmart, you just walk in.
Of course, they were doing
Uh,
that stupid shit.
Yeah, they're making people wait in line. I'm like, man, I wish I would wait in line and fucking go to Walmart and go to the grocery store. I didn't go.
To to me, that was part of the propaganda too. Like when you're seeing long lines
Mhm.
outside of the store, like you're not talking to anybody because everybody's like sequestered in their house, and then you somewhat talk to people on this stupid line that like 6 feet apart like an idiot. Like it was
They,
just
they
that
had all these people. They had all these restrictions and shit. But guess what? There was no restrictions on going out to protest. It was no to go out and loot and shit. You go out there, no mask, 100 people in the crowd moving around. They didn't care about enforcing mass mass mandates then and shit like that, and making people go in the house. They didn't do none of that shit during the summer of 2020.
I think I remember like in San Francisco, they were still allowing like the gay bathhouses like to pop off during that time too.
Yeah,
Like no,
doing that
like
shit. Remember they called that dude, who was that, Cuomo? They called him in New York. He was like, yeah, well, they got you at the gym. He's like, yeah, well, I need to go to the gym. I need to make the gym. Like, is that right, motherfucker? You need to go. He's so much important than everybody else.
Gavin Newsom too. Remember he went to the restaurant like
Yeah.
the French Laundry, I think it's called, like or the in
Yeah, he going out to lunch. There's 100 people there. They had private schools where his kids was in school. Everybody else kids shut down and miserable.
yeah, bro. Like I mean, it's good to talk to people that like won't say like, oh well, we can't think about that shit like because it already happened. Like you know what I'm saying? Like like when I talk to somebody like you, like who actually remembers what was happening during the time, like it's refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Like because like people that were not with the shits. It was a very troubling time, bro. Like the 20 so long ago, 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like the some of the young players that came into the leagues during that time are still young players, but God forbid you remember like that it happened. Like you know what I'm saying?
That
Like
shit was crazy.
word
I
up.
didn't even look at him. I didn't even look in the chat. Come on, Trump told y'all the man. You think anybody went in home and injected some fucking bleach? Nobody
Yeah,
fucking
word
did
up.
that shit.
Like
Nobody did it. That no one did that shit. He can say whatever he wanted to say. Nobody just like they did that fake story about the ivermectin. Talking about people taking horse what was it,
horse
the horse
dewormer.
tranquilizer or yeah, horse dewormer. Knowing that it was two different kind of ivermectins and all kind of shit like that. And like, man, it was just so much mass propaganda and media influence. It was just
No,
it was a bad thing.
and the censorship that was happening during that time too, bro. I remember the internet of like 2016 or like 2015, like when there was dope shit on the internet. Now that internet's whack, like you try to put a search in, like it's fucking retarded, like the results you get. But like the whole censoring that happened during that time, like not only are they pushing the bullshit, but like we can't even be critical of this shit. Otherwise, you get kicked off social media. Like
Man, you can't be critical. Anything they do, like, oh, talking about Trump. Man, like what the hell? Like they were doing all kind of shit. That election fraud, they did that shit right in front of your face. All this damn cover up shit. Even January 6th, they did that shit right in front of your face. Oh, you can't talk about January 6th, or you don't get a strike or get your page taken down and all that shit. Like everybody's seen that shit, bro. Like these motherfuckers walking in there and black bloc and all this shit. All of their federal agents that was involved in that shit.
yeah,
You go ahead.
no, I don't know if you recall, but that was actually the issue that got Trump booted off social media. Like right
Yeah.
after January 6th, like y'all kicking off sitting president, like because he was still the president at that time, from
Mm-hmm.
social media, censoring him, and it kind of like set the trend. Like yo, like now any nobody could
No,
if he could get booted
see,
off.
first they kicked off Farrakhan. There's I had a bit. I'm not Muslim anything, but he was the first one they took off social media, and then they took off Alex Jones, and so they set the precedent with those two. So everyone allowed that to happen, and then they took off Trump. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. So we set you up. We made y'all use of this. So we're gonna do it to him too.
Yeah, that's the ritual too. I mean, not to cut like not to change subjects, but every time they pop one of these standards off, like I think they do it in a ritual
Mm-hmm.
sense, in which they'll knock off like they'll pop something off with a black person and a white person. And I looked at like the first big example of censorship that you just mentioned, Alex Jones and Farrakhan, as
Yep.
one of the many of like these things that they pop off where they use a so-called black person and a so-called white person.
That January 6th shit, that shit was as clear as day, man. And if anybody want to know how set up January 6th is, all you gotta do is look at that one dude's case. I forget his name. What's his name? Josh, the shaman dude with the horns.
Oh, the Q shaman.
Yeah, him. They making this nigga like he the worst dude. He didn't start all this trouble, and then the tape come out. the fucking police walking him through this motherfucker.
Yeah. Remember that dude Ray Epps too? Like the one that was like one of
Yeah.
the first people that was up in there. Like the dude's clearly like a asset of the feds. And like then when they finally started covering in the media like a year and a half later, they were kind of like painting him as a victim, like, oh, he's the target of conspiracy theorists. They keep bringing him up. Like,
He's
yo, like
straight federal agent.
no, and I mentioned earlier too, like the people that were there on January 6th, like there were some people that were acting rowdy, but like they were
Yeah.
like
Those are all
probably like
feds that was doing that shit. That was all kicking that dust up, breaking
yeah,
the windows and beating people. Those are all feds that were doing that shit.
and there's probably like 100,000 people there. If they feel away, like they could have taken that whole shit in like one day. Like I mean, like with that many amount of people, like nobody went there with crazy
Yeah.
weaponry, even
They
though
let this
these
shit happen, bro. They had it all on tape.
yeah, I come from the same thought as you, like that they let that shit pop
Remember
off.
the tapes? Remember the tapes back? Well, they had it backstage with Nancy Pelosi. Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to happen, and this and
Yeah,
all that shit. They had her shit. Trump, fucking requested a National Guard. They, because remember they had just had one like 2 weeks before January 6th. It was a restorative vote. They had just had one in D.C. before then, and then
like a
they had all
demonstration.
kind of no, they had a protest right before January 6th. It was like 2 weeks before, and they went back up there again, do all this
Yeah,
shit, say all this shit, and they had all kind of National Guard and all this shit out there to protect them. But this time they didn't. When Black Lives Matter was out there, or Black Lives Matter was out there, they had you couldn't even walk within 5 feet of that shit.
yeah, nah, and the whole election shit too. I mean, it's a big gaslight operation too when you bring that shit up, man. Like, I mean, because every time I bring it up, they'll be like, "Oh, well, all these judges threw that shit out." Like, what the fuck? I care about some judges throwing the case out. Like, I
Some fucking
think that the
corrupt
shit,
judges and shit.
yeah, bro. Like, I think the shit looked fucked up. I've never seen an election look like that ever in my life. Like, and like, mad suspect shit is happening like during the election, and like, I can't notice that the shit looks fucked up, bro. Like, I just gotta agree with the judges, like, just cause, like, I don't give a
That
fuck
shit was
about the
crazy as
judges.
hell. The water main breaking in Waterman breaks in Atlanta.
Yep.
They can't
Yeah,
stop counting the votes. Detroit, Michigan, this is happening. They coming in with boxes Biden votes in the middle of the night to it. Man, you can't run
no,
no shit like that to me.
and covering the windows up too.
Yeah. And truth be told, that's how Trump won his election, the first one. And through the mail-in voting and all that shit. People weren't rocking with Trump like that in the first one. That's how he barely won. That's how he won his election. The first one.
It very well might be the case, bro. I'm with it.
Yeah, that's how he was able to call that shit out. Cause that's how he won the first one. And
Well, I'm
everybody
not
knew
saying
that shit.
I'm with cheating elections, but I'm with like any sort of like I don't think that it's something that you can't talk about. How
Yeah.
this like YouTube like some like was fronting on like us being able to talk about it up until recently, bro. Like
Absolutely. Anything that was going against the narrative that they set, they were trying to squash that shit. And I was not with that, bro.
yeah, in spite of like the fact that I felt that way, I couldn't really express these points on YouTube or anywhere else, bro. Like it's like fucking and it like if I see somebody getting censored for some shit that I don't agree with, I take no joy in that shit. Like, at
Either.
the end of the day, I think anybody could say whatever the fuck they want. Like if they started censoring people for talking shit about Trump, like I wouldn't like celebrate that shit. Like even if it's a lie,
Nope,
bro. Like I
either.
mean, like I don't think anybody should be the arbiter of what you and I could say. But
Nope.
like the censoring was happening really hard under the Biden administration, and even on the condition of Biden, like how fucking lost in the sauce Biden was or retarded. Like when you
Yeah,
brought that
no,
shit up,
as soon as he leaves, oh, he got stage 4 cancer. Like, get the fuck out of here. Now he got stage 4 cancer. Y'all just
yeah,
find out about that shit. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, what about his brain issues? You know what I'm saying? Like that, like I understand. I know many people with cancer that they're still with it. They can carry a
Right?
conversation, bro. But if somebody were talking to you how Biden talked during the whole time of his presidency too, because these people are trying to act like he just started acting bugged out towards the end of his presidency. Like, nah, Biden was 730 the whole way through, bro. Like, and he
Right?
wasn't out, he wasn't front and center like most of the time, bro. This dude was being sequestered and hidden.
Nigga,
Like,
that nigga was in Vermont eating ice cream and shit. Where's he
yeah,
from? Where's he from?
Delaware.
Delaware. Yeah, that's where he's at. Delaware eating ice cream every fucking weekend. And a lot of the time they had the damn body doubles and shit. Cause you can see the damn stickers on the mask. You can see like the damn pull string on the mask and shit.
Yeah,
So
bro.
they had all that shit on Twitter and TV and shit, but you know what I mean, people didn't want
Nah,
to see it for what it was.
I believe that shit. Like, I even
I
think
seen that shit.
Trump could have a body double, like too. Like, I wouldn't put it past it.
I wouldn't put it past it either. Especially the way he did a whole 180 on his damn campaign trail.
In part,
Talk
yeah.
about like, nah. Nigga, this ain't right. That's why, like, I wasn't a Trump supporter, but I wasn't a Trump hater. And I hated the lies that people came up with, like, oh, the lies and the conflation and the stereotypes. So I'm one of those type of people. Like, if you lying to me about shit, I'm not gonna rock with you. I'm more liable to go with the guy that you're lying on than you know what I mean to believe in your lies.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard what I was saying earlier though too. And this is one of the reasons I fuck with Trump. And not to say that I rock with every decision he makes, but like, cause I don't really. Like, but a lot of like how the world is run, like in the past, like, or since we've been young, since we were youngins, like that world, like I don't think we're going back to it. It's either gonna be like really whack if bad people win, like globalists, like people that want
Mhm.
globalism, or it'll probably be really good for America if, like the people that operate with Trump win, which is like sovereignty, like where we just give a fuck about what happens on this side of the world.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the plan, but somewhere along they compromise them. And there was I think like Tucker Carlson said something to me that made perfect sense to me. Like he knew that he wasn't safe. Like this mother came within an inch of blowing his head off. He done had all kind of plane malfunctions. They had some kind of dinner where he supposed to go to, and they had Project Pink, I think it was. They ended up getting a reservation right next to him. Then he comes in and people start yelling and shit like that, like protesting and things like that. Like he done had all kind of breaches of security. Let the nigga know he better play ball. They gonna kill him.
I mean, I wouldn't discount that notion. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I wouldn't. And honestly, I could talk a lot of shit regarding like me being brave in a certain situation, but you never know what kind of shit they could put up against you. But
Yep.
but at like a lot of the stuff that he already faced, like, I mean, like, in terms of like assassination attempts, into like also the fact that like shit you just mentioned, like where his security like has this big time lapse many times. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but
One time is an accident. Motherfucking 9, 10 times, nigga, something's going on. like,
yeah,
like even the Butler shit. Like, bro, people like this dude's climbing on top of a building that Secret Service is in. People are all outside saying, "Hey, you got a gun and shit." Like, yeah, like people before this shit even happened. Like, hey, look at that guy climbing on top. Like, it's videos of the shit. I've seen the shit. And
I
like
seen it too.
police are what's going on? Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
What do you mean?
Like,
What do you mean
yeah.
someone's climbing this very building with a gun at this very moment?
Like, no, man, no. You can't run that shit to me. You can't run that shit to me, bro. And then he just did that shit. Some frail piece of face white boy fucking climb his day. He like can't even hold a fucking gun. Let alone climb a fucking ladder with a gun attached to him, scaling the fucking roof and then shooting all shots. Like, no, bro.
Yeah. Nah, but all like if my theory, and I'm not saying my theory is right, or I'm not saying like, oh, I can't be, that I can't be critical of Trump because I have this theory. But I think that everything that we know, like, and I don't put it, in my own recesses, Deuce, like, I often think like, what if I'm like, what if Trump is some sort of antichrist like type figure, like or what
Mhm.
if they murk him and like they'll use that as an excuse as to like why everything got to change, like, or why the world can be brought into chaos because like they murk Trump, or like they start a super surveillance state. Like I look at all these possibilities. You know what I'm
Yeah, the
saying? Like,
surveillance state is already here, and his ass signed up for it when he said he wasn't going to allow that shit.
in what
This
sense do
shit's
you mean?
already here. Like the
Like,
fly cameras, the real ID and all this shit. It's here. Shit, it's here.
I,
Nancy Pelosi wanted to put uh a a cap on how much you can send through Venmo. They said they wanted every transaction over $600 accounted for and investigated. That's what they
nah,
said.
nah, I believe that. But
$600. That's less than most people rent. Most I don't know. Most people, niggas ain't going to the rent with a money order no more. It's only a small percentage. Most people pay their rent through the internet, PayPal, Venmo, whatever. That's how I pay my rent to my landlord. You know what I mean? But
yeah, 600 ain't even a room.
yeah, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Nah, man.
Nah, I mean, like as far like, and I see all these things too as they're happening. Like, I mean, but like, and it just seems as if a lot of the whole like, being up in my life, like apparatus, like whether that be through technology or like, it comes more from like the liberal perspective than it does from like MAGA. I'm not even gonna put Republicans, but like MAGA.
I think that at a certain level, they're all one and the same.
Very well could
Because
be.
you get like once you get past like the grassroots people, and once you get into those congresses and the houses and stuff, they're all the same people. These people go to lunch together, but they'll get in front of TV and act like they hate each other. They donate to each other's charities. They're related, you know what I mean? But when they get in, it's like wrestling. Like WWE, we don't get out here and act like we hate each other, but behind closed doors, we're best friends. We're cousins. That's my nephew. You know what I mean? Shit like that. That's how, to me, that's how it looks.
Yeah, no, and it's one of the reasons as to like why I have my theory in that no matter what, like, and I mean, I thought that the when we went to the 2008 like recession, like that the economy was gonna crash. I always follow like things to do with the economy, like with finances and whatnot. But that crash is still gonna come no matter what happens. Like what I thought was gonna happen under Biden, it could happen under Trump. Somebody's gonna inherit that crash. But like, and that's gonna be worse than the Great Depression, I feel. But
Yeah.
what if that pops off in addition to like Trump getting murked, in addition to some other crazy shit, natural disaster, like or another fake like COVID shit, like, and it's not like these things can't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. To me, that seems to be the plan. To
could
be
be.
civil unrest. To create civil unrest, so they come with some kind of martial law, a lot of people down. The people have to resist that shit. We can't fight each other. We have to fight them. We have to fight them. We're going to fight somebody. We're going to fight the people who's in charge and people who's responsible for this shit. What's the point
And
of fighting your neighbor? Fighting your neighbor or fighting
no,
your another color or something.
no, and I mean, honest, like it may seem like I politically set trip to the eyes of like a lot of the channels we fuck with, like frankly, like that defend like Democrats, but it's not the case. But at the end of the day, I mean, it seems like to me like that a lot of times like the whole like wanting to knock a motherfucker's head off comes from like more people that fucking vote blue no matter who, like I don't even vote, bro, like fucking. But a lot of those people, like if you told me, like I use that example a lot, like if somebody told me like a lot of my friends, like I voted fucking Obama, Hillary Clinton, like Joe Biden. I think most conservative people like wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot," like off the rip. But if God forbid, like like you're around many people that vote like blue, no matter who type people, like if you say like, "Yo, I didn't want like Joe Biden to be reelected, or I didn't want Kamala Harris to win the election," like, "Oh, you like they might call you fucking racist, bro." Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
a
Or like,
sexist or something like that.
yeah, it just
where
seems like
none of that shit means anything when there's inflation how it is now and problems how it is. Like that shit is crazy. That shit is crazy. And people get the real problems conflated because they're low level thinking
word
and
up,
critical
man.
thinking.
Nah,
Like like I don't act like I'm all educated. I'm a fucking PhD, bro. I did go to college and I did take classes, nigga, to make you critically think. And one of the class that really made me think was my journalism class. How propaganda and narratives are created and gone with, and how stories are curated and algorithmed for you and shit like that. And that shit happened like right in front of my eyes because I was in school when Katrina happened. And everyone's making it like, oh, it's a black thing, it's a white thing, and you know what I mean? Like, and to me, it was a poor thing. You know what I mean? They wanted well, at then I thought they wanted that land, but shit, they ain't done nothing with that land in 20 years. That land still looks not much different than what it did then. Once you go off those side streets, them houses are still boarded up. You know what I mean? Like it's still tragic over there.
well,
And
make
then
no mistake, if they could pop off a ritual like to knock off like a lot of so-called black people at one shot, I mean, like, make no mistake that the devil will gladly take that opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
they
I mean,
would.
yeah, and not that I think, I mean, like not and like Katrina was one of the worst things. Like, as far as natural disaster shit, like that was like probably the worst I've seen, like here in America,
Yep.
and the fact that
And they
they
created
left
that shit. They blew them levees up. Them levees did fucking
all
give away. They blew
certainly
them fucking levees. Blew them levees up.
without a doubt. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking the but that like that fuck like because that was like around the time I first met like my wife too, like, and that shit had me really fucked up. And I was really liberal during that time too, Deuce. Like
Mhm.
as far as my politics go, like I wasn't fucking with no Republicans during the Katrina era, not at all. You
Hell
know,
no. Bush and
but
shit and all that. It's like hell no.
nah, not one bit, bro. I was left of most liberals, bro, because a lot of times, like, there were many liberal people, not liberals necessarily, but a lot of people co-signed. Like, I don't know if you remember that Dixie Chicks, like them bitches that got like censored during that
The
time.
the country singers, I remember them.
Yeah, yeah. And many people that were like in the middle, like, were in agreement with them being censored because it was anti-soldier or some bullshit reasoning, like,
Mhm.
and I
They're
like,
speaking against the war. Yeah.
yeah. But it's just like these last couple of years, like, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily radicalized because of the COVID era, because honest, like I said it before too, like I wasn't part of the conscious community, but I was definitely all up in the conscious community, like before it even became on the internet, like going to Black National Theater in person in 125th in Harlem, and that's not like close to the cribs too, like living around these other communities that hated so-called minorities, like, but having said all that, these last couple of years, like, I mean, it just seems like it's one thing after the other. And I mean, I can't just judge everything on like I just hate this one politician, like, or like, you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't trust Trump all the way, like with like, and I think he could be used for some negative purpose down the line. Like, who knows, bro? Like, I'm not gonna say I like
Yeah.
put my life in this
Hey,
dude's
and like
hands.
you say, like just one politician. As much as they try to make it like, oh, war, this is Iran war is all Trump. Congress and House has something to say about that. Yeah, I've never seen a president wield this much power without any rejection. without any opposition. You know, like whatever he wants to do, they pass it. Whatever he think about doing, no one said anything about it. Like when I remember when this ice shit was heavy. You see AOC and Chuck Schumer and all these people sitting on top of the fucking mountaintop crying about shit and complaining and stopping shit and all this. Now nobody's saying shit. AOC ain't saying shit. Chuck Schumer ain't saying shit about the war. I ain't seen them. If they have, I ain't seen it. It ain't been no YouTube ads or no press conference about the shit. If they
Nah,
have said it.
it's a once or twice thing. Like on and like me, and I'm talking from the perspective of a so-called minority that was interested in politics. A lot of times, like unfortunately, I referenced the Obama administration. If he threw like a bone out that made it seem like he was down with us, it was good enough for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would be like, oh, he can't do that much because they're gonna say that he's only looking out for us. But at the end of the day, he really didn't look out for us. Like
He
when
didn't. He didn't.
like
He could have did everything Trump was doing. That's why people have such a big ass problem with it. And he doesn't have the sway he had for all black because like you use black people to get in office and then say you can't do shit for black people. But all these other groups are getting benefits and set asides and the Dreamer Act and all kind of shit, gay shit. And then it's like, oh, well, black people, I'm gonna give you a mentorship program. We're gonna change the school food, change the school diet. Like nobody asked for that shit. We asked for tangibles. We asked for business propositions. You
but
know
it's
what I
the same.
mean?
It's the same thing with the whole like throwing the like when Democrats throw a bone like with the whole Gaza
Yeah,
shit. Like these dudes like to me like that's a big issue, bro. And like you see what happened in Gaza. Like that should
yeah,
be like they could have all the great press like or as far as with the base, like the Democratic base, like they could have a lot of like goodwill by shitting on the Gaza situation, like a lot more. But these dudes will mention that shit once every 4 months, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like you know," they'll post it like you know, like Israel and all this shit. Like they're really not, bro. Like they're
fools ain't
not. Like
doing shit. It's all symbolism, man, and nothing tangible. And the people are tired of symbolism.
yeah, word up, bro. Nah, and politically too, like you like I a lot of times I talk about race too, like with like and a lot and like most times like when I talk about like or when I want to talk about like a lot of so-called black issues, it's because a lot of one like at the end of the day, if they're shitting on anybody, it's on so-called black people. Or like if somebody's negatively affected, a lot of times in many instances, it's gonna be so-called black people the most negatively affected. And like, as it relates to like issues in this country, like but a lot
You're not lying.
when things happen, like whether good or bad, like they'll use it as a or like or when things that they want to perceive as bad things happening, like with the Trump election, let's say, like tons of people voted for Trump. Like, if you look at if you believe the numbers, but they were like a lot of times I heard many times where they would like not only in the black community but the so-called black community, but outside where they would be like, oh well, a lot of so-called black men broke for Trump and that's why like he won. Like what? That's not a like not every motherfucker votes anyway, like one, but two, like you're using this small community as the reasoning as to why they won. You don't even say black people, you say black men. So like, you
Yeah,
know, like automatically you're creating beef between black men and black women, and then you're just using them as the reason as to why these things like pop off. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that a lot of times like they'll do a lot of things to trip up so-called black man. And but if I bring it up, like they be like, oh, you can't like that stupid bitch on the boxing scholars page. Like, oh, you can't talk about black age or talk, you know, like what? Like I fully realize that they're trying to trip so-called black people up the most. You know what I'm saying? Like at the
yep,
end of the day. Like I mean, but if they don't like, and if I'm bullshitting about that, then like I mean, just say that's not happening, and that's a different conversation. You know, like whatever. That's your perspective. I'm
yeah,
as a so-called Puerto Rican dude. I think that many things that pop off in America like are to trip up or to like have so-called black people like behaving one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep. Like black people are the only people that gotta be a monolith. Everybody else can be themselves and be individuals and be higher, lower, but we have to be a monolith.
Yeah, word. You know what's crazy too? Like one thing I've thought about that, I mean, not to change the subject, but like when I talk about the Obama thing, from like now that time has passed, the one thing that Obama got to pop off, like in terms of an agenda, was to normalize the rainbow issue. Because if there was one people that were allergic to the rainbow issue, the most, even now, it got to be the so-called brothers, bro. Like you could go into a barbershop as a sus dude, like in a so-called black barbershop, or a rainbowy kind of dude. As soon as that dude leaves, they're gonna talk shit about him. Like, and nobody's gonna say, "Oh, that's not right." You know, you can't talk about these people like for living that lifestyle. Like people look at you funny for like saying some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if like if there was one community that were like where it was almost built into to like the way of being like that, we're not fucking with this issue. It was the so-called brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't
but
know if I
I
agree with that because like yeah, black people are clown you, but we're not gonna do nothing to you because you gay. Like we're not gonna sit here and jump you and throw you in the trash can or whatever shit they do to gay people. You know what I mean? Yeah, we gonna clown, we gonna talk shit, but you know we clown talk shit about everybody. So I don't know if I agree with like we're like homophobic because at the end of the day, niggas don't care. They ain't gonna fuck with you, but
no,
you know what I mean.
it's
Nobody's
not.
gonna do no harm to you.
It's not homophobic. It's basically like if you don't fuck with it, like you wouldn't like crash on some other dude for saying I don't fuck with that shit. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 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 no.
Like it's built into the fabric, like where like I'm allowed to express that talking point, like you know, like or especially when we were young, like you know, when I was young, like and I lived like all my peoples are for the most part like not like 75% of my peoples are so-called black cats. Like, but like you know, if I mention that shit too, they'd be like, oh, like everybody says that. But you know, if there was somebody who was sus, like they like their name would be like if their name was Jake, it would be like Sissy Jake or some shit, like you know, like
Yeah,
or some crazy
that's
shit,
what
you
I'm
know,
saying.
like
Yeah, we gonna clown, we gonna talk shit, but we clowns talk shit about everybody. And
yeah,
so if you're that sensitive to it, that's a you problem. But no one's gonna do nothing to you. You're not gonna get slapped because you're gay. In my
yeah.
experience.
But things got like skewed up in my perspective, like from post Obama till like now in terms of that issue, like where I don't know how to explain it. Yo, I like I lived like before I bought this house, I lived like in a real black part of Jersey City. And you like the ladies like that would like in the post office, let's say, like they would give grief to like black like the if it were like black so-called black women, like they'd give grief to like so-called black people, to everybody. If like a so-called sus dude would go to the counter and this like a dude that would look like crazy sus, they're like, hey girl, like showing him love. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And it seemed like it was more of a thing like like I don't know, in the last like 10 years, like I don't know how to explain it. Like it like you would have like so-called sus people that would tell a woman they were like beautiful and like they take that shit to heart. But you would have a so-called, you know, black husband that may say his wife was beautiful and she won't believe him type shit. Like I don't know. It just seemed like we went from like it just seemed like the last stand for like families or like for families being like a popular thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right?
in our
Yeah,
communities.
we become more accepting to it because more people out the closet and not hiding their shit. But that's what I'll say.
It's not
The
solely
last
that issue though. It like I it's like the more accepting of like a lot of like because like a lot me I associate that thing like not so much as I it's like a sexual preference, which whatever.
yeah,
Like, but it just seems like we've been like since then like more accepting of like debauchery, like you know, like if a girl's a hoe, like we like That would be like a real bad thing before. Like now, if a girl's a hoe, you can't really say she's a hoe. Like that's her choice. Like it just like falling like people like being in love with shorties. Like, it just seems like it's like way less now than like when I was coming up. Like they don't even hear R&B anymore. Like you know what I'm saying? Like or like
Absolutely.
like people like just like really like being in love like type shit. Maybe it's like something that doesn't have anything to do with any of these things, but I don't know. It just
I get what you mean.
it just seems like
I get
it's the
what you
beginning
mean.
point around that era in my mind.
Yeah,
You know,
that live and let live. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
yeah, bro. Like,
But hey, fool, and my phone about to die though, man. It's just I gotta
yo,
get
dudes,
up off.
nah, but like, thank you for coming through too, man. I hate talking to myself, man, and you're a wonderful person, like as far as your perspective goes, especially as your perspective goes too, man. But good looks for coming through, Deuce. I'm gonna end it too on my side, bro. But thanks for coming through, man. Like, and anybody else who listened to, much love. Like, but with that, I'm out.
You my man, bro. I fuck with you.
Word up. Likewise. Peace, man. Have a good night.
All right, bro.